Ethan Caldwell adjusted the knot of his silk tie as he exited the glass-fronted lobby of his latest project, the Caldwell Tower on Michigan Avenue, that sweltering Tuesday morning in August 2025. At 42, with a net worth that had climbed steadily from his first flip of a Wicker Park brownstone in 2007 to a diversified empire spanning 14 states, Ethan commanded respect in Chicago's development circles. Keynotes of the Urban Land Institute's annual summit, a feature in Forbes 30 Under 45 from 2018, and a personal chef curating macro-balanced meals delivered thrice daily to his Gold Coast penthouse. His days revolved around site acquisitions and zoning variances, the latest being a $28 million bid for a vacant lot in Bronzeville slated for upscale lofts, approved by the city council just 48 hours prior despite neighborhood pushback on gentrification concerns raised in a July 25th Chicago Tribune op-ed. Ethan dismissed such critiques as progress pains, a phrase he'd honed in investor pitches, backed by data showing his projects boosting local tax revenues by 17% on average per a 2024 Urban Institute study. Lunch that day was a solo affair at Valois Cafe on 53rd Street, a nod to his alma mater University of Chicago roots, where he'd majored in economics before pivoting to real estate under Menor Harlan Voss, a Loop Titan who'd passed the torch in 2015 with a $2 million seed loan. Ethan ordered the corned beef sandwich, $9.75, extra mustard, sipping black coffee while scrolling Zillow comps on his iPhone 16 Pro Max. The cafe, a Hyde Park staple since 1921, drew a cross-section. Professors debating Foucault, students nursing hangovers, and locals like the elderly couple at the next booth sharing a patty melt. It was there, at 12:42 p.m., that Jamal Washington approached his table, backpack slung low over one shoulder, wearing a faded Bulls jersey 2 sizes too big and sneakers with soles peeling at the edges. "Excuse me, sir," Jamal said, his voice steady despite the faint tremor in his hands clasped behind his back. "Could you spare some change for food? I ain't eaten since yesterday's school lunch." Ethan glanced up, fork midway to mouth, the boy's dark skin glistening under the cafe's fluorescent his frame slight for 12 years, 5 feet 2 inches and 92 pounds. Later noted in medical records from a free clinic visit. Chicago Public Schools 2024 to 2025 enrollment data listed Jamal as a 7th grader at Beasley Academic Center, with perfect attendance through June but flagged for nutritional concerns in a nurse's note dated May 14th. Ethan, conditioned by years of street solicitors outside his meetings, fished a $20 from his monogrammed wallet, initials ECB embossed in gold, and extended it without breaking eye contact. "Here, kid, get something real, not junk." Jamal's eyes widened, a flicker of relief crossing his face as he pocketed the bill. "Thank you, sir. God bless." He turned to leave, but paused at the door, adding over his shoulder, "Real food means veggies too, not just chips." That parting shot lingered, an unexpected lecture from a child half Ethan's age, stirring a vague unease amid his post-meal haze. Ethan finished his sandwich, tipping 25% on the $12.47 tab, $3.12 left on the Formica, and stepped out into the 92-degree heat, humidity clinging like a second skin. His Tesla Model S Plaid waited curbside, summoned via app, but instead of sliding in for the 10-minute ride back to the office, Ethan watched Jamal weave through pedestrian traffic toward a Hyde Park Purdue stand 2 blocks east. The boy haggled briefly with the vendor, a Somali immigrant named Amina Khalid, per her business license filed with the city in 2022, handing over the $20 for a plastic bag bulging with carrots, an onion, and a bunch of collards, change pocketed at $4.37. Jamal shouldered the bag and headed south on Greenwood Avenue, away from the cafe's safer grid, his pace quick but not furtive. Ethan's driver, Marcus Hale, no relation, a 58-year-old ex-Marine with 22 years behind the wheel, texted, "ETA 2 minutes." But Ethan waved him off, curiosity overriding schedule. "Walk it off," he muttered, a habit from his U-Chicago jogging circuits, and fell into step 50 yards behind, blending into the lunchtime flow of nurses from the University of Chicago Medical Center and delivery bikers from DoorDash. Jamal turned left onto East 61st Street, then right into a narrow alley flanked by chain-link fences and overflowing dumpsters from the adjacent laundromat, a shortcut locals knew threaded to the 6,000 block of Kenwood Avenue. Ethan hesitated at the mouth, Armani slacks suddenly incongruous against a graffiti-tagged concrete, but pressed on, phone in hand, as if mapping a new site. The alley opened to a chain-link gated lot, 40 by 60 feet per Cook County Assessor records from 2019. Zone industrial, but vacant since the 2021 fire gutted the original auto repair shop. No trespassing signs dangled crookedly, but the gate hung ajar, secured by a frayed zip tie. Inside, under a blue tarp canopy strung between salvage poles, stood a cinder block kitchen setup. 2 propane burners hissing softly, a stainless steel prep table scavenged from a restaurant closure, and shelves of donatedkins labeled in Sharpie beans, tuna, rice. Smoke curled from a cast-iron skillet of frying onions, the aroma cutting through alley staleness. At the center, a woman in her late 60s, gray braids pinned back, apron stained with grease, stirred a pot of greens, her movements efficient as a short-order cook. Jamal approached her, setting the bag down with a thud. "Grandma, got carrots and stuff. Man at the cafe gave $20. Real nice." Evelyn Washington, 68, grandmother to Jamal and guardian since his mother's overdose death in 2020. Coroner's report citing fentanyl-laced heroin. Case number 20-04567 from the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. Wiped her hands on her apron and pulled Jamal into a quick hug. "Bless that man, child. We needed greens, pots low." Evelyn had run this pop-up kitchen, dubbed Wash's Table by regulars, since April 2023, feeding 42 families weekly on average, per a handwritten ledger bound in a repurposed notebook from Jamal's elementary school. Funded by $167 monthly from her Social Security, $1,014 gross, net after Medicare Part B premiums, and donations from St. Edmund's Episcopal Church 2 blocks north, where she'd volunteered in the food pantry since 1998. CPS records showed Jamal placed in her care after 3 foster stints totaling 14 months. With Evelyn's home, a 2-bedroom walk-up at 6125 Kenwood, rent controlled at $728 since 2015. Deemed stable despite the peeling lead paint flagged in a 2022 housing inspection. Ethan lingered at the gate's shadow, unseen amid stacked pallets, his pulse quickening at the scene's intimacy. He'd driven past such lots countless times, penciling them for redevelopment. This one eyed for a mixed-use strip in his Bronzeville proposal, projected ROI 22% over 5 years. But witnessing the operation firsthand, Evelyn portioning collards into styrofoam bowls, Jamal chopping carrots with a dull paring knife, a line forming of 5 neighbors, a single dad with twins, an elderly widow from the senior living across the street, shifted the calculus. One man, Leroy Jenkins, 51, unemployed mechanic since the plant closure in 2019. Layoff notice from UAW Local 1429. Muttered Evelyn, heard SNAP benefits cut again, $23 less this month. Evelyn nodded, sliding him an extra ladle. "We make do, brother. Always have." According to the USDA's Economic Research Service report released January 8, 2025, 13.5% of U.S. households, or 18 million, faced food insecurity in 2023, with rates climbing to 19.8% for households with children under 18, and black households experiencing it at 22.4%, more than double the white rate. Feeding America's Map, the Meal Gap 2025, published May 14th, highlighted child food insecurity at nearly 20% nationally, with Chicago's South Side counties like Cook hitting 24.7% in rural-adjacent zip codes, where 1 in 4 kids skipped meals weekly. Jamal, per Evelyn's clinic notes from a July 2025 visit to the Free Woodlawn Health Center, measured in the 10th percentile for weight, his blood work showing low iron levels consistent with chronic undernutrition. Ethan's phone vibrated. Marcus. "Boss? Meeting in 15. He silenced it, stepping forward involuntarily as Jamal glanced up, spotting him. "Hey, the nice man from the cafe." Jamal waved him over, no trace of wariness. Evelyn turned, sizing Ethan up, tailored suit, polished loafers. Her expression neutral but appraising, Honed from decades navigating systems as a former CTA bus driver retired on disability since 2018 after knee replacement. You followed him? That's a first. Ethan cleared his throat, extending a hand. Ethan Caldwell. Couldn't help noticing. Smells amazing. Mind if I contribute? Evelyn shook firmly, calluses rough against his manicured palm. Evelyn Washington. Contribute how? We take in goods, not pity. What unfolded over the next hour dismantled Ethan's preconceptions brick by brick. Jamal, chattering as he peeled carrots, explained the kitchen's rhythm. Mondays for pantry staples in the church. Wednesdays for hot meals like today's greens and cornbread baked in a donated Dutch oven. Grandma says food's the first fix. Body strong. Mind follows. Evelyn elaborated, pulling a stool for Ethan amid the steam. Her daughter Tasha struggled with addiction. Clean since 2022, but working double shifts at a South Shore hotel for $14.25 hourly plus tips. Jamal's straight-A report card from Beasley, top in math despite missing breakfast 3 days weekly. The alley kitchen's narrow escape from eviction when the lot owner, a holding company out of Delaware, sold to a developer in 2024. Ethan's firm, unbeknownst to her, had passed on it for hire. Margin sights. We rebuild what falls, Evelyn said, quoting her late husband, a steel worker killed in a 1992 mill accident. Workers' comp settlement of $187,000 eroded by medical bills and inflation.